Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And hopefully by now you have seen our video, our hands-on with this, the Essential phone. Now, the Essential is a very hotly anticipated device, and we have had our hands on it for the last few days. So make sure you check out the full hands-on. That way you can get some of our opinions regarding this phone and what it was like to use for the last few days. However, in this video, I wanted to bring you some of my favorite features of the phone itself after using it for the time that I have. And we have 5 of them in particular that we want to go through in this list. The first top feature that we want to talk about right now is the build quality. Now, we do have this moon black version of the phone, which has a glossy back that is pretty fingerprint prone. However, if you take a closer look at the phone, you might recognize its design language. It does harken back to a design that we saw from Xiaomi. The Xiaomi Mi Mix was one of the first phones to try and go completely bezel-less. And in their case, they put the camera on the bottom in order to make room for all of that screen. Unfortunately, that phone was just a little bit too big, and like I said in my review, if we had a smaller version of this phone, it would probably be one of the best devices that we've seen, at least in terms of design. And with the Essential phone, that is essentially what we get. The build also greatly benefits from a titanium body, but the backing, especially on this unit that I'm using right now, is a ceramic backing, much like the Xiaomi Mi Mix. And we love ceramic backings on phones because it just gives the phone a different level of quality. With the flat sides as well, it is very easy to handle, and it definitely feels like it's not going to slip about, especially with this size that I can grip really easily. But of course, we have to talk about that screen. It is a 19:10 aspect ratio screen that is Quad HD resolution. However, there are a couple of quirks about this screen that make it really eye-catching. Of course, we talked about the lack of bezel on this phone, and indeed, there is a bit of a chin on the bottom, but everywhere else around the phone, you're basically holding what is all screen all the time. And there's a little bit of a contour at the top that makes room for the front-facing camera. This 8-megapixel shooter on the front gets a little bit of a lip, just a little bit of a dip into what is essentially the notification area, and it's a really nice look that really differentiates the design of this phone from pretty much any other device out there. But that little U-shaped lip at the top that just sort of cuts into the full screen, just that tiny bit, is incredibly eye-catching. It's very crowd-pleasing, and with that notification area at the top blending in with basically any application, there are a few where it doesn't really blend in that well, but I'm sure that updates are going to come later. It's just really a wonderful look. Which leads us to our next feature that we really love, and that is the dual camera setup. Now, Essential has gone for the RGB and monochrome sensor combo in order to get the most detail out of the shot. And the monochrome pictures that we've seen, if you go to the mono mode in the camera app, are incredibly detailed. We actually really love taking black and white photos because all of the lines are so detailed and there's a lot of sharpness inside of those photos. The color pictures are pretty fine still, however, we are going to do our full testing as the time goes on. The camera app is also a little bit simplistic, so for a lot of general users out there, it's not going to be hard to pick it up and be able to get some good shots. However, we do wish that there was a bit of a manual mode involved. And right next to those cameras are connector pins that give this phone some modularity. Now, we don't really have a whole lot of time because we don't have the 360 camera to talk about the 360 camera, but they do connect to those 2 connector pins over in the corner on the back of the phone, and it does pass through data, so you'll be able to take 360 photos and videos, and they will communicate straight through those connector pins. There are going to be more accessories made available for the Essential, including a wireless charging dock that you can connect to those pins, but we're sure that there are going to be even more accessories that will add to the expandability of the Essential line. And they have also promised that future Essential devices are going to have backwards compatibility with all of the accessories they plan on releasing. And finally, it would be hard to talk about a phone called Essential if you didn't talk about, well, the essentials. There are a lot of specifications that should please everyone out there looking for a high-end device, but we want to highlight the software experience. Essentially, this is a stock Android build. If you get an unlocked version of this device, you basically only have a dozen applications, including the ones that are already built into Android in the stock build, and you only get a few extras, maybe 5 or 6, as we were told during our Q&A session with Essential. And over the last few days, I've had a very snappy and very smooth experience with this version of Android, and we're sure that with some updates to the software, it's going to continue to get better. Even after I put the Sprint SIM card into the phone and it downloaded a couple of Sprint applications right off the bat, it didn't bog down what has continued to be a very speedy experience. So for all of you Android purists out there, it's kind of interesting that we have the phone like the Essential that provides a stock Android experience aside from the Pixels and the Nexus devices of the world. So that might be a big feather in the cap of Essential that is going to get a lot of you to really consider this brand new device, this brand new phone that has just come out on the market and is available for pre-order right now. You can head over to retailers like Amazon and Best Buy or Essential.com themselves to find unlocked versions of the phone, or if you happen to be on the Sprint network, you can see when they are going to have it available, as it is available for pre-order across all of these different networks. The Essential phone is incredibly interesting, not only because of what it's trying to introduce into the flagship game, but also because it feels like they're really trying to redefine what the word essential means to general users. And that is exactly the question we will explore in our full review. So keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more about the Essential phone. We'll probably do some comparisons, but we'll definitely give you our full review that will include camera testing and pretty much all of the bells and whistles you would expect from us here at Android Authority. Stay tuned for even more about this exciting device, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you can keep up with us all over the place, because we are your source for all things Android.